oxymesterone or halo, mestrolone, methandienone or DBOL, methyltestosterone, Nebular-1, oxandrolone or VAR, oxymethylone or Drol, and stanozolol
Just
or
take one of
Winnie.
each.
So, D-ball.
D-ball. Classic. Classic.
Hey Google, what are the side effects of Dianabol?
We are live.
According to Wikipedia, it is...
How does it pick it up from here? Just a little fluid retention and breast enlargement. Never hurt nobody. Just a little gyno.
Fluid retention and breast enlargement is what happens when my diet goes off. So realistically, am I just eating ice cream every day or am I on steroids? Who knows? Am I taking Anavar?
Are we eating ice cream or are we taking Anavar?
Jeez. Disgusting.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? 3D?
3D.
Like Jacked?
You've seen it? No, not Jacked 3D.
Contains 200 milligrams of caffeine. Fucking lightweight.
I'm trying to cut down, man.
Proprietary energy. Yeah, at that point you just drink a Monster. Taurine, caffeine, Panax ginseng root extract, L-carnitine tartrate. Ooh.
L-carnitine.
Inositol. Ooh.
I like how it left your can here.
Inositol.
What is that? Can you describe that to me?
It's inositol is like a filler powder.
Oh, great.
I think it's one of the B vitamins. I don't remember which one.
Sweet.
D-glucuronolactone. That's a new one. I have no idea what the fuck that is. Legitimately.
The Googlies. Shit, what am I putting in my body?
Inositol, by the way, we used to sell a lot of in the shop on Thursday nights.
Thursday?
Specifically to really shady people who drive really expensive cars, but dress like they don't. Because cocaine dealers, crack dealers use inositol to cut their...
You look like a Buddhist monk right now.
Because it's cold in here. Yeah, so anyway, so like cocaine dealers would use inositol to cut their product. So we sold a lot of inositol on Thursday nights to crack dealers.
That's fascinating.
Secrets of working at the vitamin shop. We used to sell...
Now it's just
we used to sell innocuous white powders to crack dealers so they can cut their supply.
Well, that's cool. That's fun. Did you have fun when you were working there?
Oh, we've had some fun moments, you know.
Yeah.
Like...
I think
a
working
lot of
retail.
Yeah,
working retail was one of those things that I was just like, I feel like it builds a tolerance. I think it makes you a better person. I think retail will shape you and harden you in ways that other jobs just cannot do, because you're exposed to humanity.
Okay, so like entry level jobs. So let's just stick to like, okay, of entry level jobs, and there aren't that many of them. Which ones? Okay, so let's make a mental list. Okay, right? So there is retail, food service, administrative assistant work. It's like secretaries or something, right?
Sure.
Telemarketing.
Which I would say that should still fall under
like phone marketing,
like customer
and stuff.
servicey kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so there is retail, food service, administrative assistance, customer service. Are there any other entry level positions?
I guess we can define entry level.
Entry level, a job with no experience. Like a job with no experience, you don't need any education. Like the training is provided for on the job, and you learn it in like a week. Problem
Cleaning,
solved.
like a janitorial maybe.
Yeah, you're right. So that's also Okay, so you've got down the list again. You have retail, food service, any sort of assistant work, right? customer service, and janitorial services.
Mm-hmm.
Of those,
I was gonna say, what's your point?
which are gonna harden you the most?
I would say any of those that deal with people. And face to face. I would say retail trumps all. I would say retail is the thing that will harden you the most because you have to be face to face. So retail is typically you're not behind a phone like in telemarketing. So it's a bit more comfortable. I would say you have to be there face to face with this person explaining why the fuck their toaster don't work. Why does Becky have to be a bitch? Okay.
Oh God, Becky.
Why is Becky a bitch? Why is Karen coming in with her fucking toilet? Her toaster. I know I said toilet. I'm next to the toilet.
Could you imagine? Because you were for Best Buy, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
Could you imagine somebody just like bringing the
Toilet.
This doesn't work.
Why doesn't this toilet work?
They call Geek Squad. It's all like,
I bought a warranty here. Ma'am, you need to sit down. You're in the wrong store. Home Depot's across the street. Ma'am. She starts walking around the whole fucking store with this toilet parading how we're wrong. We've wronged her. You know how many customers do that shit, dude?
God.
Let's carry this conversation into the stream. It's 4:30, so I'm gonna start it, and then we're gonna keep talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Hello, here comes the intro. Shit, this is Russian roulette. I forget which one it was.
Hey, that's the one.
Hey,
brand new intro.
Yeah, brand new intro. Iron Theory. Hello,
Bros and brolettes.
Vikings and Valkyries.
Welcome to Iron Theory.
A podcast about fitness, life, and everything in between. We're definitely in the in between right now.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, not really. I mean, okay. So what did you actually name this episode with the incorrect spelling?
Yeah.
The Struggle Baguettes
Stronk. The Struggle Baguettes Stronk. Yeah, that's actually the. Let me confirm this. Let me go to Facebook.
There it is. Oh, The Struggle Baguettes Stronk. For those of you who are listening after the fact,
Yeah,
who
that's
want
right.
to figure out why it is we're checking Facebook, this podcast is... you're going to create an echo.
Oh.
This podcast is live streamed every Saturday at 4:30 Central Time on Facebook and Twitch and...
YouTube, apparently.
Oh, and our YouTube account.
YouTube Live.
It is then later posted to Spotify and Apple, iTunes, and all the other things. All right, you get it.
Yes,
So in any case, so there we were, right? So I had this idea for this episode, struggle begets strength, but of course we had to go brain fart on it, so the struggle baguettes strong.
So I didn't know how to spell the word begets. So I asked Arthur here, how do you spell baguettes? And he's like, hey, Google, how do you spell baguettes? And then
Baguette is spelled B-A-G-U-E-T.
and it was that. Why'd you have to slow it down like I'm stupid? So it spells out baguettes.
Because it was the second time I asked it, so it must be like,
So
okay, you dense motherfucker.
okay, let me slow it down for you. B-A, you got it? G-U-E-T-T-E-S.
Did Google just go customer support on me? Just like...
He went per my last email. He said per my last email. What the fuck? So we spelled it Baguettes Stronk. I said we go all the way. I'm trying to be careful with my words here. And Tropic Thunder. We went Tropic Thunder on this shit.
So we can tell you about the inspiration for it, but in the pre-stream, which apparently is now rolling over into the mainstream.
Indeed.
The pre-stream, by the way, is the absolute intellectually deficient
Bombastic.
verbal diarrhea that comes out of us in before 4:30, but we start the stream earlier, like usually 4:15, and it's just 15 minutes of absolute drivel. In any case, so we were talking about entry-level jobs and which ones harden you the most, and we came up with a list of the 5 like most common entry-level positions. So we had retail, we had food service, we had like any sort of like administrative assistant work, we had customer service, so that's like phone stuff, and janitorial services. And we were talking now about like which of those hardens you the most.
Yep.
And Chris is presently making the argument for retail.
Only from my own experience, but I feel like there's a lot of people who have worked retail that can testify the same thing. Because, and I mean, this definitely segues into what we actually meant by this episode as struggle begets strength. So, there's trial by fire. So there's you have to understand the failures and the uphill battles to get to that success point. So, which we'll go into as far as, how that relates to the gym, because this is for the most part a fitness podcast, but also the in-between portion, which is what we're currently discussing here. So, so let's continue. So I said retail is one of those jobs that, because you're in front of people, thousands of people typically walking through the store, for instance, at Best Buy on a daily, it's different personalities. And I would still say, like, my current occupation, that's why it's like, okay, no big deal. I'm with different kinds of people. But because, like, it's like a revolving door, in retail, different people coming in with issues, and you just have to... What, like you said, was the customer service voice. You have to put it on. You build this facade, I guess, to deal with this shit. So, that's where this conversation kind of went.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. I'm dumb, but
exactly. Yes. I'm sorry. I look like your son, and I disappoint you.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
But can we get back to discussing the warranty? Ma'am, can we just talk about the warranty for a little bit? Ma'am, I need you to calm down. Okay.
I can't think.
Can I get security, please?
Do you have any one specific experience? Because I have a handful. But do you have any one specific experience that, like, okay, that happened to me, and I am mentally stronger because of it?
Dude, I remember I was selling this guy a TV, and I guess this guy thought I was, like, purposefully, like, ignoring him. Like, I literally did not see this guy. This guy must have been in my peripherals or something like that. I was at the computer looking a product up or whatever for somebody else, and this guy comes up to me, and essentially the way he comes at me is like, fucking audacity to ignore me. I know you saw me. And he just started calling me a bunch of names and shit. I'm like, okay, so how can I help you? Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let me try to help you. And he had this TV ready to go and buy or whatever. I was like, okay, I can ring you out over here. And as I'm ringing him out, he's just going in. He's just roasting. I'm like, dude, I was like trying to remain calm. But I was like, oh, it's so fucking hard right now. I could feel like I was just getting so fucking angry, but like I just kept my cool. I was so fucking close to saying some shit. Like, don't disrespect me. Some shit. Like, I just wanted to say some shit like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I was just like, so as he was talking, it's like, okay, so that comes out to whatever the price is. I'm trying to remain calm, and he just goes through this whole thing. And then even as he's walking away, he still says some shit. I'm like, this motherfucker, man. This motherfucker. So, like, that's, like, one of the things that stuck out in my head. I was like, oh, my God, this guy. I hope they break their fucking TV in his car. Like, that's what I was hoping. So, yeah.
I looked out. I never had a customer berate me, but I guess I didn't work. So, I worked at Vitamin Shop. So, I had a very specific clientele. I had 3 very specific types of customers, right? Yep. So I had one, the super health conscious vitamin buyer, right? So I had that. I had oh yeah. So I had the super health conscious vitamin buyer. I had the gym bro, and I had the old lady. But there was one customer that I remember. Let's not use names.
Sure.
But she was She didn't like outright berate me or anything. It's not what it was. She wasn't mean to me as a human, but she was so aggressive with what she needed. We were one of the busiest stores in the district. We always had people around me, and she monopolized my time. And she wouldn't let me break away to be with another customer. Just exactly, like very, very self-important.
Yep.
And she has so many questions and this and that, which, don't get me wrong, yes, I know all the answers. I'm glad to help you, but give me a minute.
Sure.
None of that angered me.
In Arthur fashion,
none of that bothered me. None of it. The next day she comes back, returns all of it.
Which is weird. How do you return like a perishable product? Was it open?
No.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there like...
Because you
Really?
spent all your fucking time with this person.
Next month she comes back, does the same thing. The next day, returns like half of it. And this became a pattern. And I'm like, at one point I was all like, ma'am, do you intend to return these tomorrow? And that's when she became like, it is my right to return these. Like not mad at me. not mad at me, just mad in general. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Yes, it is your right to return them.
Sure.
Okay. Great. And I just let it go. But like that experience, like that hardened me.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, like that was like that one guy I was talking about. That was one. But I mean, like you'd find like different levels of that. Like not necessarily like just straight up name calling. Like literally, this dude, that other dude was like literally called me a bitch. Like I was like, you a stupid ass bitch. And I'm like
I don't need to take that abuse from you.
Have a nice day, sir. I think that pisses him off more because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be super petty. Just super nice, like overly nice, like
yes,
like annoyingly, like overly nice.
Yes,
and that made them mad.
That's how you get them, because if you get mad at them back, it justifies them.
Right.
But,
exactly. Oh, I wanted a rise out of you. You know?
Yeah, but if you the nicer you get, the angrier they become.
Oh yeah.
They devolve into just like
brought more of a
fits
smile in my face.
oh my god, like. It is the ultimate troll. Troll them with kindness.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the key. But yeah, I mean, I would say retail is that beast. Anybody who can sympathize with retail, leave a comment somewhere and tell us why. why retail has hardened you. So whatever you're listening to this on, leave a comment or go onto the Instagram page, Iron Theory CG or Iron Theory AW. And leave a comment on one of our posts. Cool. Sweet. But yes, we'll talk to you now about struggle begets strength. So, but that was a good example, though. I think that itself, brought strength to character, I think is a good way to put that.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess back to the more of the gym setting, the fitness setting, what does that mean as far as like, struggle begets strength? So, I guess my definition would be essentially because I'm trying to build muscle. So my example, if I'm not putting in that extra effort into that final set, if my last set looks like my first set, then I feel, well, if it doesn't look like or if it looks like my first set, I didn't put enough effort. That struggle just was not there to induce what I needed to happen into that muscle group to optimize and building my muscle. So that struggle in this case would be those final few reps. So that'd be my definition, kind of, at least in the gym setting. So I would get into that failure point, working that pec on the bench press or whatever, right? So
that's hilarious, because for me it's like I go out of my way to make sure my last set looks identical to my first set.
Yeah.
An interesting, complete different lapse in philosophy. But I pitched this idea to you earlier in the week because I was in the gym, and the podcast already knows this. I'm training for my first ever strongman competition, Great Lakes Strongest Man, in September.
Let them know on the previous episode. Go ahead and check that last episode out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc., etc. Anyway,
shameless self-plug.
Got it, man. Every few seconds. Sure.
And oh my god, I am beating my body up. I mean, it is taking a toll. Like, I feel it. Like, this is the hardest I've ever trained ever. And I was just like sitting there, and I work out out of my garage. I used to work out of your garage.
Yep.
Now I work out on my
Yep.
garage. And it's been like 90 something degrees every single day out here in Chicago. It's been humid as all hell. And I was just like sitting there, like dripping, like trying to get the sweat out of my eyeballs. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is a struggle.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and like think about, okay, you need to appreciate the suck right now. Like, you need to appreciate that this struggle, this pain and all this work that you're putting in is what will inevitably eventually lead to the strength you're looking for. But you have to put in your time. You have to put in your work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that I'm glad you actually brought that up the other day when we were trying to figure out the next topic, because that is such a big factor. It varies from person to person as far as the level of that intensity, but for that person, that could be, for us it might not be an intense moment, whatever it is, but for a beginner, that intensity could be there, right? The appropriate intensity to get them to whatever that specific goal is. So and especially in like your sport, it's such a physically demanding sport, because let's be real, this is a sport and a very specific one, right? So yeah, I mean, you have to put your body through some turmoil, man. Like, that shit's gonna hurt to some extent, because you're probably working around 80% of your maxes there of whatever these lifts are, because the goal is to do it for like reps.
Yeah.
Or time, I guess, like depending on like the hold, for instance, like the farmer's hold or whatever. It's heavyweight, and there's certain numbers you have to hit too, so you're trying to really get your numbers up.
Yeah, it's not like powerlifting where you get 3 attempts and your heaviest count. Wait, like, no, like everybody needs to be able to lift this weight. The question is who can lift it the most often in a minute. So it's a totally different, and I've never trained for reps. I've always trained for one big lift. Mm-hmm. So now it's very interesting taking my training to be like a heavy, like you can even put this in terms of like bodybuilder, like talk, or I don't know if bodybuilders use this. I know for sure that starting strength and powerlifters really use this a lot, but RPE. Where you are training for like a max, like RPE 10 set, and that's what you're training for. Mm-hmm. And it's just been so weird and taxing on my body, because I'm so used to, like, I can hit one heavy lift and I'm fine. I don't feel sore. Yep. But it's like deadlifts the other day. I'm used to pulling 450 and walking away, but now I have to train this for reps. So there I am banging out 420 for reps. And oh my God, like, it physically hurts. Like, I have bruises on my wrist from the figure
here's
eight
the
straps.
physical struggle, yeah. RPE of 10, I mean, that means like those reps are gonna start looking a little ugly, if you're at like an RPE of 10, like true RPE of 10. Because I use that scale to sometimes judge. There's certain programs that I've seen. One in particular by John Meadows, who does bodybuilding, but he's known as a coach now, or Mountain Dog Training is what he goes on YouTube as. A lot of his programs have an RPE scale, so it's like, okay, RPE of 8 to 9, RPE of 9 to 11, in the last set. So you're grinding it out, you're doing a half rep, you're doing some crazy shit, and essentially, if you're trying to grow muscle, especially if you're in more of the advanced season kind of a lifter, you need to do some tricks to, get your body growing again. So, that's a big key thing, big component.
It's also a really interesting way of looking at it, because it really standardizes. Well, I don't want to say standardizes, but it gives all lifters in any sport, a vernacular or a vocabulary to use when they're talking about how they feel. Yeah. Because we all know on some days 300 pounds is light, and we all know on some days 300 pounds is a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, oh, I struggle, like, oh, today I deadlifted at RPE this, or I benched at RPE this. Yeah. Like, that gives you a much better idea of, like, okay, I put in a whole bunch of work today, or, I was really only in here for, like, mobility and recovery kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, so And the RPE scale, yeah, of course it's gonna vary because some days you'll be lifting that same weight that might have been RPE of whatever 8, and then suddenly it feels like a 10, right?
Yeah.
But it gives you at least some kind of perspective, like some kind of visual I guess, like a internal cue to know, like, okay, well, I'm definitely putting in that specific kind of effort. So it's a nice little scale to kind of actually put like a struggle into perspective. Like where do you fall in on this scale?
Yeah. And it's an interest. And now that I'm thinking more about it, I've been a fan of RPE for a little bit. In my brain, it's still a little bit more like reps in reserve, sort of thinking.
Yeah.
Which is just like, okay, you keep going until you have 3 reps in reserve. So stop until you think you have 3 left. But I like RPE in terms of like this perceived scale because it gives you a better idea of how you can do accessory work, especially for a sport like strongman where you have events that are stupid unique. Like this is an Atlas stone, right?
Yeah.
So obviously
It's not
your
typical
training
gym equipment. It's not a barbell or something like that.
Right, exactly. So your training is all like, of course, your RPE for the Atlas Stone when you're training should be like 8, 9, 10 consistently.
Yeah.
But then your accessory work, you're probably front squatting, you're probably doing hip hinges, any of those things.
Front loaded shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like, well, how much effort should I put into those? Should I be tiring myself out? Should I be maxing out? Like, what should I do?
Yeah.
And that gives coaches and other people like, okay, so here's your struggle level, right? So here's your RPE. You should be training front squats at maybe a 6 or a 7. It doesn't need to be insane.
So, and just to bounce off of that, so we have this scale now. So we have some general idea of what a struggle should look like, just from your experience and what I described essentially. As far what I would consider a true struggle to be. So we have this scale, so the RPE scale. So when I was talking to one of my clients today because we were working out together, and I was like, I pay attention. Like I was telling her this, that it's like if I pay attention to these 5 people over here and I just watch them do their sets, how many reps do I think they have? I typically, on average, I think there's an average number. I forget who spit this one out, but I think at least 6 reps on average in reserve in the tank still left over, typically even on their last set. So a lot of people are under training, I would say, as far as intensity and proper intensity to build, induce hypertrophy. And it never fails. Like I'll watch these people lift weights, I'll watch them lift these weights and I'm like, man, like sometimes I'll just like, especially if I have some downtime or something, I'll just like pay attention to one person. I'll be like, all right, they're under a 3rd set. Okay. All right. Still looks pretty easy. Like, I guess it's just my perception, at least, of what in my head should be proper intensity. Now, of course, it comes down to goal specifics. Is this person injured? There could be a whole history. I honestly don't know. I'm just looking at these people, but just like on average, I see a lot of people will be training very mildly, to what you and I are accustomed to.
Yeah. So they're not inducing that struggle.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what when people come to me, and when I'm in the trenches now with these people that come to me, knowing that they might be that person out on the floor just training kind of half-ass, in my opinion, then it's like, okay, I have to open these people's eyes. Okay, this is what really should be happening when you're lifting these weights. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, it's so, like it's heavy. I'm like, trust me, I guarantee you can do 5 extra reps right now. Like I'll let them know. We're like, go ahead, do it. Like, go ahead, do it. And then they do. And that last rep looks, they get it out, but it was a lot harder than where they would have typically stopped,
Yeah. And that's the joke. I think you and I were making a little bit earlier. Like, oh yeah, because we were training with your friend in my garage, and I kind of made the joke, right, that like your muscles only grow from the last rep.
For the most part, like they're so time under tension, right? So, you want to perform during each set. You want to give maximum effort within each set, right? But yeah, so the closer you get to that failure point, and you want to kind of ravel in it, so there is some kind of a wave that you're riding, right? So let's say, for hypertrophy, because time under tension, so you want a certain amount of reps that'll allow you to ravel within the tension for a bit, whatever, 8, 10, 12. And then once you start approaching that last rep, it shouldn't look, at least in the principles of building muscle, it shouldn't look like that very first rep or the very first set. You might be shaving 2 reps off because that same weight's just not as, it's not as light as it was, and that's appropriate then.
Yeah.
Then you're doing the work. Then the struggle is happening, right?
And I feel like we should preface this. It's not like, yeah, we're struggling, we're hurting, we're sweating, like we're obviously in discomfort. That doesn't mean we're not enjoying the training process.
Right, exactly.
That's not what we're saying at all. And when I said earlier, like, I'm trying to embrace the suck, I'm like, because I've never trained this hard before, and it is definitively tougher to enjoy actually causing myself this much pain.
Right.
But it's not that I don't enjoy the training. It's just that I'm trying to like keep telling myself, okay, this struggle, which is greater than the struggles you've put yourself through before, is how you're going to build this new level of strength that you need to hit to get to the goal you've set for yourself.
Which is funny that you say that, because the example we made the other day where you say your overhead press is significantly stronger now in comparison to what it was before when you were training more in this, like, you had a shitload of reps in reserve, you go for a certain rep range, and you would make sure that the 5 was 5 every time, or the 3 was 3, and even if you might have had that extra one, you wouldn't go that mile. But now it's like, okay, you need to see if you can get more reps out of the lift. Even you're lifting pretty much as heavy, so you're forcing yourself into this like uncomfortable thing. But it looks like the way you are training, so this struggle that you've had so far you're reaping some benefit from that, I think.
Definitively, yeah. Yeah, this is by far the strongest I've ever been.
Yeah.
In total.
Which is exciting, right? I think that's exciting.
I think so too.
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing, and I want to tie back to what we were talking about in the pre-stream and that spilled over into the actual stream.
Yeah.
This is the first time that has ever happened, by the way, that we actually took a pre-stream topic and tied it in so effortlessly and perfectly into what we were talking about. And this is actually something that also comes from the Swole Acceptance subreddit that we totally ripped off of the Broden and Brokey skit from.
We need to post our shit to.
Yeah, we really. Well, I'll let you do it because I have too much. I don't want to lose karma. I like my 6-digit karma numbers.
Okay.
All right, so here I am. And Swole is a trinity, the Swoley Trinity. And sure, there is swole of body, yes, but true swole is not just swole of body. And where any one bro falters in any of the swoley trinities, they are not true swole. So you have swole of body, swole of mind, and swole of heart. And we were going back to the to the retail example, because that will really, I mean, if you want to talk about swole of heart, like, and swole of mind, well, okay, it's definitely more of a swole of mind. Like, you need an iron mind to do that. But then tying it back into like the discipline it takes to be, even an amateur athlete, right? Is just like, okay, the hard part is just like telling yourself to go to the gym and the mental discipline it takes to, okay, I need to cut this period of time for my life to do this. And it does take a certain amount of just like mental intestinal fortitude to just say, okay, I know I am going to be sore tomorrow. I know this is going to suck, but I want this, and it's just putting yourself in a mindset to move that forward.
So let's play with that swole of mind, swole of heart, swole of body. So essentially, so far we've talked about being swole of body, essentially.
Yeah.
So swole of mind, and we touched on it with the retail example. But swole of mind, when it comes down to your typical gym goer or whoever's just trying to essentially start exercising, trying to get into routine, and this person is has a 9-to-5, relationship, whatever, they have kids, whatever, right? They there needs to be some kind of thing within your mind to allow yourself this time, and because most of the time I think most people can find that hour or so to exercise, but I think it takes another discipline, or this mental testicular fortitude or whatever, intestinal fortitude.
I think any insert any body part fortitude and it works. I think it does.
Fortitude.
Yeah. It's the fortitude part.
Clavicular fortitude.
Ooh.
So it takes some effort, some mental kung fu, if you will, to allow yourself to do that, because a lot of times people will retreat back to a comfort thing. So they have this way they think, right? We're all stuck in, we're creatures of habit, creatures of routine. The second something tries to break routine, it's uncomfortable, we revert back to routine, typically. So allowing ourselves to struggle mentally, even for a little bit, to try to make sense of throwing exercise into the routine now, like trying to fit it in. It's like this like unwanted thing that's coming in. That's a true challenge. So in the detail, I said trial by fire, and that's I would say that's one of those things that in a lot of these cases, especially with exercise, it is this interloper that you're trying to invite, though. So there's a struggle. So so it brings us here.
I want to keep with the swole of mind, right? Because swole of mind also means like intelligence, right? Like intellect, being smart.
Sure.
And I don't mean smart in terms of I can do math, right? I mean smart in terms of what you are doing, right? I don't think like intelligence is one thing. Intelligence is everybody is extremely smart at something, right? It's just what you're going to be smart at doing. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of athletes, and I know, and I see this in school all the time. I'm a teacher as my day job, right? And I see kids who are running cross country, like state champ cross country or something like that. But they don't fully understand the actual mechanism of what happens. Like, why do their coaches make them do a certain thing? And they don't understand the actual mechanisms and the chemistry behind what's happening in their body that's making them so successful. I think every single athlete, or even hobbyist, right? Maybe you're not doing this professionally, right? We definitely aren't.
Right.
But, you are.
Well, okay.
Okay, never mind.
Besides that, the coaching bit.
You are. Well, yeah.
Not any sport, yeah.
There is definitely a massive benefit to understanding at a biological level why certain things work, why certain things don't, and why you should be doing certain things. Like, why is increasing your protein intake going to increase muscle synthesis? Why is hypertrophy the way to build larger muscles? Why is repetition the way to build strength with the central nervous adaptation? I think every single athlete would benefit from understanding the chemistry, the biomechanics, the actual muscle groups of what's happening in their body to make them successful.
Definitely. Because more on that. That's one of my jobs, and one of my pleasures is breaking down stuff like that to an average gym goer. Because a lot of times you're not thinking about any of that. They're just like, okay, I just have to go in here, go to this machine, put in a little effort, whatever, struggle along, hopefully something works, close my eyes and cross my fingers or whatever. So when I start breaking down an exercise to somebody, like, okay, well, why are we doing this? And I'll let them know, why the hell are we doing this? Because A, you move like this now. We want you to move like this now. So we got to make sure, in order for you to move like this, we got to do it like this. So a squat, whatever, as an example. Person has a poor posterior chain, so back squats are in the program, or a lot of back stuff, core stuff, things of that nature. But just breaking down that information so they understand the information is very, very crucial, and part of that swole of mind that we're talking about, right? In order to achieve swole of body. So it is a circle, or I guess the triumvirate, so they all come into each other.
Exactly, it's what I said. You will never be swole unless you have all three. Right. Like, if you falter on any one of those, it needs all three.
I agree.
Needs to be that triumvirate.
Because just to go back to, if you're only swole of body, so if we're only that, and not and we ignore the other two,
Yeah.
and we'll get to the third. But if you're only swole body, that can lead to injury, right? So
Yeah.
if we're only concerned about, I just want to lift heavy ass weight, I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm just doing it, and I'm just gonna go all balls out every single time. I'm just gonna go as hard as I can, without knowing my form, without knowing if I'm even doing this stuff correctly. We're just physically just trying to do stuff.
Or even when you get to a level where you are legitimately strong and you want to get stronger, so you start buying performance enhancement supplements, drugs, stuff,
vitamins.
and you're sitting there and you're like, and sure, so now you're on a cycle of test, you're on a cycle of D-ball, and you're like, and now you're suppressed, your liver enzymes are out of nowhere, like nobody ever told you to get blood work done, and now, sure, you're definitively swole of body. I mean, you're a fucking freak, chemically impossible without anything else, freak, but you don't know what you're doing to yourself. And
yeah, you don't know what the side effects that are happening internally, and then next thing you know, you can take your blood work because you've been blasting it for a good amount of time, you haven't eased off, and you're all fucked up.
Yeah, now your eyes are yellow, full on jaundice. It's just like you have the liver of like a 70-year-old alcoholic. Like it's just a mess.
Right. So essentially, swole of mind meaning the information that we need to become swole of body is important. So we have swole of body and swole of mind. Great. Check. So swole of heart. I think this one's a little difficult, but I think, would you say this is more in the emotional category? I guess this is a more emotion kind of a thing, right?
It is definitively the more emotional side of it. And to me, it comes down to you're not ever gonna get your max potential hit alone. Like, sure, even if I think about like the lone gym rat, with the headphones and the hoodie middle of summer that doesn't really talk to anybody in the gym, I guarantee you he has some sort of support structure, some sort of friends or something that he talks to, and because you're just not going to make it. Like, if you're a power lifter, you're going to need somebody who you're friends with to squat. And if you're just a dick to everybody, who the fuck is going to spot your bench? Like you're just going to break your trachea at some point.
Right.
Like, don't be a dick, man. Sure, you can have all the success in the world. You can have all the money. You can have all the looks. You can have all the one-rep maxes. But if you're, like, emotionally dead inside and you're not swole of heart, like, who the fuck are you going to share it with? Like, what's the point of being jacked and strong if you can't share that, like, if you can't help your friends move or something?
If you say that fast enough, it sounded like swole of fart.
Swole of fart?
Swole of fart.
Oh, swole of heart, swole of heart. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Jesus.
But anyways,
God damn it.
but just to go off of that point, I agree. So we've made an episode, I think, about like community and stuff like that. But to that point, as we're talking about this swoley trinity, so swole of heart, the gym essentially is a community. There's people that come in, whether it's big crowds or small crowds or whatever, and especially if there's regulars, I think it's a good thing to, just be friendly. You don't have to be striking full on conversations, but we made a video about gym etiquette. Go check that out on the Instagrams and the TikToks, as you kids say, right?
Yeah, I think we post our videos on our Facebook, both of our Instagrams, and we have a TikTok at Iron Theory.
Iron Theory,
or something like
TikTok,
that. Yeah, on TikTok.
At the Iron Theory
at
on
the
TikTok.
Iron Theory on TikTok.
On TikTok, subscribe, like follow,
share.
What
do you even do on TikTok? Because you're in charge of the TikTok. I have no idea what the hell.
What I do, I mean, I might start doing. So this is, I guess, a sneak preview. I mean, like just like stupid stuff. Like I'll have the headband and the glasses and do some stupid brokey shit. Maybe. Might. And just like have the. There's this trend. We'll get back to what we're talking about, but ADHD.
Yeah.
There's this thing. This edit everybody likes to do with their TikTok videos is where it's like, like Microsoft Sam back in the day just reads off text or something.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
But like on TikTok, it's like, some female voice or whatever that'll read off whatever's happening. They're narrating what's happening essentially. So, maybe I can do something like that.
Oh, that would be funny.
Yeah.
Just make sure you record people consensually.
Of course. Oh yeah.
Swole of heart also means you're not making fun of somebody.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But it's usually I'm making fun of myself in these videos most likely.
That
so
adds up.
that's what's gonna happen. And somebody let me know if you're able to actually record video on TikTok without actually holding down the record button.
Oh, I'm
'Cause
sure
that's
there's
a
a way.
problem.
There's got to be a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be a way. Also, can't you just record on your phone and
That's
then
okay. And then just edit.
Just do it that way.
Yeah.
Why are we having this discussion right now?
I don't know,
Is it
but hey, man, it's organic.
by the way,
It's organic.
Microsoft Sam reminded me of I think one of the earliest memes in internet history, which was my Rafflecopter go shwa shwa shwa. Remember, you would write that in.
Was that it?
Yes.
Was that the origin? I had no idea.
Well, no. Well, I don't think it was, but the original Microsoft Sam, the text to speech is you would write in, and it was one of the earliest things in the internet. It was like my Rafflecopter, and then I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like SHCHAW or something, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but it would just make the shwa 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 shwa, and it was just like.
I just remember being on Microsoft Sam
my
and just
God.
writing out just horrible words.
Oh my God!
For him
Just
to
to hear
repeat
it
back.
say it.
Come on, say it.
Wait, we still do that today.
I know,
Your
it's even
stupid
worse.
iPhone,
Yeah.
totally inappropriate voice choices.
Now we just ask Siri to say stupid shit.
Yes,
Like
spell baguette.
spell baguette. Baguette. Okay.
BAGUETS.
BAGETTES. Yeah.
Baguettes.
Baguettes.
Oh my God. Oh, the
Baguettes.
struggle, baguette strength. But yeah, so this Swoley Trinity, you're not gonna get swole, you're not gonna get strong until you are swole of all three of those.
Yeah. So, swole of heart. I think I had a point, and then I guess I forgot what the hell I was talking about. I was like, let's just rewind it.
Something about gym community. Is
Oh
what you're
yeah.
talking
That's
about.
right.
Yeah.
I'm back with everybody. Okay.
Okay.
We're back.
You have to rewind the tape deck.
Which is another thing, just real quick. The videos we have.
Start with your
80s,
initial.
80s, VHS kind of effect. Go check it out. Yeah, very nice. 80s, very nice aesthetic.
Put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah. So the videos we post, little skits, a lot of effort. Yeah, community. So
There we go.
if you're in the gym, and the way I approach it is this, everybody who's at the gym is there for a purpose, and I've made this point countless times, but everybody's there for a purpose, right? Everybody has some kind of specific goal, or they're trying to get away from something, or there's some reason, so there's that goal, whatever it is. So just having that understanding and being, I guess the word would be empathetic, with everybody else, as far as just as a default kind of a emotion, and while you're in the gym, just having that, should put you in that mindset. So if people understand and vibe that, the kids use the word vibing, if you have good vibes, right, then a lot of people are gonna kind of feed off of that, because you can kind of tell, whether it's mannerisms or the way you approach somebody, or you just ask them for a favor in the gym specifically. So yeah, can you spot me? Or you see them a lot, so you're like, oh, you notice they have a shirt on that has a cool little slogan. You're like, oh, it's a nice shirt. So just doing these little friendly little things, I feel like just overall, good karma, right? So swole of heart, right? Just make sure you're a good person.
And then going back to the struggle, like who's gonna help you through your struggles if not your bros or your brolettes?
Exactly.
It's
yes, we are bros, brolettes, and everything in between.
Yes.
Whatever you want to be, everybody's a bro and brolette.
Yeah, be swole of heart. Don't let people be whatever the hell it is they are.
That's right.
Who cares?
Right. Exactly. So that's
you.
key.
Yeah.
That's the Swoley Trinity. So, man, I feel like that just kind of covered a lot. I think we that was like a good bookend to
That was a good bookend.
because we didn't even plan using the Swoley Trinity. I don't even think we did, unless you had a plan to use Swoley Trinity.
It sort of came up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we started talking about, and it just sort of happened. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, so just to sum it up, I would say, if you do all three of these things, good things will happen, right? So, in all three of them, there might be some struggle points, right? So there will be struggle points, within the being swole body to get to that point, the pinnacles here. So these three pinnacles that you're trying to achieve to be one overall package, right? So there will be struggles along the way. But I mean, that's the whole purpose, especially if we're talking about fitness. That's the reward, really. The struggle, which will give you that reward. So, exercising, being on routine, telling yourself you're going to go to the gym, and actually going through with it, telling yourself you're going to eat better, right? And actually following through with these things is what's going to get you closer to that. So, yeah, those are my closing words on that. Do you have anything to add to that?